Fracassi freaks.
Wow, man, freak out! Freak out! Freak out!
Freak out, freak out. Yes, sir, I'm a Fracassi freak. And today is a cool day because I opened up the mailbox and there was a box in the mailbox. The friendly neighborhood mail lady has delivered. I got a book in here and I got to get that mother out. Now, this one comes from Alter Publishing, which is a publishing company owned by author Philip Fracassi and his wife. And so they're trying to get that mother fired up and start publishing some books. But Fracassi, Philip, has already got the author's pen or keyboard or however authors write stories, already got that fired up. And that fella has written some amazing novels. Already one of my favorite authors, walking God's green earth, and some other stuff. There's a Facebook group called Fracassi Freaks. I recommend you check it out if you do the Facebook thing. Join up. It's a private group. You get to talk to a lot of cool cats and kittens and stuff like that. Some cool people, including the Philip Fracassi himself. But Philip Fracassi has a new book coming out from one of my very favorite publishers called Earthling Publications. Ever hear of them? But anyway, I've got a whole section here of Philip Fracassi books, but I've got some Earthling stuff like Boys in the Valley, Gothic, and now a new one coming out called Sarafina from Philip Fracassi. And this is a book that people that have already read it, I'm a little bit late of getting the arc. People that have already read it are saying best Fracassi yet, which is amazing because Boys in the Valley, Gothic, Child Alone with Strangers, fabulous books. Some of the best books that I've read. And now we're going to read something that people are saying is even better than those. So I'm really excited. And I had to call a favor because Earthling was sending out advanced review copies to people that do reviews and stuff like that, like this. But they said, hey, we don't want to send you an ARC if you're already getting an ARC, if you're a Philip Fracassi Sabbath resident Patreon member, which I am a Sabbath resident. I'm, I think, officially number one, the first one signed up for that group. So still one thing I got to brag about. But anyway, I didn't want to wait till September. Philip is sending out a bundle of stuff to his Patreon members, and he wants to send them all together. It makes sense, right? It's his life. And I don't get jealous. I'm never jealous. I just don't like it when I see people having things that I want, and I don't. So anyway, I phoned a friend, called in a favor, said, hey, what do I got to do? And I got what I think is an ARC for Sarafina in the mailbox, and I think it's signed, but it may just be paper. I don't know. Let's open it up and take a look, see what we got and what she looks like. So I love it when authors that I love and publishers that I love come together. And Earthling is a publisher that I had bought from before. I have Joe Lansdale's The Thicket, and I really liked it. And then one day, under recommendation, I ordered Boys in the Valley. It was one of their Halloween collection books. Every year for Halloween, they'll have a Halloween collection. I got umpteens, 18, 19, 20. I can't remember which one they're on now. But I pre-ordered the one for this coming Halloween also. But since they published that one, Boys in the Valley, then they published Gothic for Philip Fracassi, doing pretty good. They went with Sarafina now, his new one. And this one is 750 copy, hardcover, limited edition, illustrations and such as that. Looks really, really good. But this is an ARC, an advanced review copy, and looks like I got some news. Maybe I'll read the news. I got some news in here for packing materials from Alter Publications. From Alter, and then some additional stuff. Looks like Alter's been buying also from the Folio Society. The Folio Society wraps their books and this stuff from the UK. But anyway, this thing is cushioned nicely. And an ARC is an advanced review copy. Usually it's a trade edition, soft cover version of a coming book. Now, long ago, a lot of people were buying ARCs, and it was the thing they collected most of all. Because ARCs were rare. You might have a 250 copy limited edition book signed by the author, but they may be made 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 ARCs. So it was more rare. It came before the first edition, so ARCs were very popular. I wasn't a big lover of ARCs because usually they were soft covers with no art on the front, just a plain Jane, looked ugly on the shelf. Didn't interest me that much. Occasionally I'd come across one, and I had a few. But a lot of these publishers now are making some beautiful ARCs with the cover artwork on the front. So having these things in the collection and on the shelf, to me now is better because the book looks better. So I'll get the limited editions, and when I can, I'll try to get the ARCs from some of the publishers, like Earthling, like Suntup when they used to do them, like SST, like Lividian Publications. There's other publishers out there that'll make nice ARCs. When I can, I'll try to get them. But in this case, it's an author that I collect from a publisher that I love. So there's just no question. I gotta get it. So I talked about the Philip Fracassi Patreon already, and I think there's openings for different tiers. You can subscribe. So I'm a Sabbath resident, which is the top tier that Philip offers in his group. And I had to have it because I had to have the stuff, Plus I like to help a brother out. And in turn, the nice fellow helps brothers and sisters out as well. But looking at the front of this ARC without the glare, there's so much to unwrap. You got to look deep and you got to look long, and you find more and more beautiful, stunning artwork. And the cover art is by Chris Nurse, and I don't think that I know. I don't know if I have anything else illustrated by Chris Nurse, and I'm not sure about the interior illustrations. Will the limited edition be chock full of interior illustrations? I'm going to flip through this ARC and see what there is, and in here there are some interior illustrations. So hey, what do you know? The Earthling is delivering the goods. There's at least a couple inside. Here. And then there will probably be illustrated signature page. There may be additional illustrations included in a limited. I don't know. And then oftentimes on the limiteds, they'll have a frontispiece with an illustration there. Perhaps we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But this copy was signed in person by Philip Fracassi, and it looks like signed in line, just like I like it. So I was talking about the Patreon. The Patreon account, there's a variety of different tiers you can get. All of them, Philip hooks you up with stuff. Naturally, the more you pay, the more stuff you're going to get. But in here is a bookmark for another new Philip Fracassi book that is coming out, The Third Rule of Time Travel. And this is another one that I've heard people say was fabulous. I haven't read it yet. I'm looking forward to it. But one thing else is it's the third rule of Tim 3 travel, which is cool because Tim does have 3 rules of travel, and I make sure I enforce them all the way. But a cool additional feature, a bookmark for the book. But I don't know a lot about the story. I'm going to read this next. I'm actually reading a book that right now I'm not actually loving, but I'm going to finish it up. It's called John Dies at the End. Maybe I'll change my mind. I'm about 150 pages in. Anyway, then I'm going to read Sarafina. And a brief basic synopsis of Sarafina is Civil War era. Now, Philip has Gothic and Boys in the Valley, very different eras and settings. And then A Child Alone with Strangers is a modern like Gothic also, but it's a very different setting. but they go into a house in the woods. But here's Civil War era, and you've got 3 deserters, Confederate soldiers who are deserting from this battle during the Civil War. And they're in the woods and they stumble upon this house. Okay, if I'm a deserter in the woods in the Civil War and I find a house in the woods, it seems like it might be a place to stop, if not for a long time, just for a little while. And there's a lady named Sarafina and a boy named Titus. I know this because I read about it. These soldiers are leaving. They're deserting the horrors of war. And the story goes, the horrors that they find when they get to this house are far more than they could ever imagine. So just by what I've read by Philip Fracassi, the fellow can tell a story. The fellow's easy to read, and he can go dark. He has that ability to go dark. So the 3 Fracassi stories I've read are probably better than any 3 stories I've read by any other author. And I cannot wait to jump in this one. It sounds fabulous. I'm excited to read it, and I'm excited to see what Philip can do. Knowing what he's done already and what he can do with this story right here. So I'm really excited to find out how it goes. Sarafina, the Ark. Let me see. We've got, let me see how many pages this story is. It looks like we're going to go into the 330-ish pages. So it's got to be pretty tight. And Philip's a tight writer. So tight what? He's a tight writer. He can write tight. I read, which one was it? I read Gothic from Philip Fracassi after reading another author that I liked a lot, but I kind of had trouble actually reading the story. Stop and go, stop and go, stop and go. And when I got back to Philip Fracassi, it was like hearing stories from an old friend. It's just smooth. The prose I can dig. I can just flows. You don't want to stop. It feels like I'm in the story immediately with Philip when Philip writes. And so this is a treat. Another Philip Fracassi story, and I get several more to come. So these are exciting times. Anyway, with that being said, I got some reading to do. Thank you for your time. I do truly appreciate it, but I got no more lies to tell. Say la vie, baby. Do-do.